I'm Tariq Smith, and I'll be telling you about my story, Carrie, by Stephen King. So, I read closely, and I am now gonna, determine, the meaning of evidence now. For example, there's few quotes in my book, actually, but here's some important ones that I found. Carrie White eats shit is one quote on page 4 of Carrie, and basically Carrie White is she's disrespected by nearly everyone in her school. Like, no one really likes her, only the teachers. But she they're supposed to care, so it's not really a big deal. Another one is the sound of Tommy's wails was sweet, jangling music in her ears. That's page 24. In this quote, the reader can see that by sweet, it was in a revengeful way rather than a romantic kind of sweet, you know what I mean? Morton gave the girl a yellow slip. You can go now, Cassie. He said magnanimously. Actually, I don't really know what that word means, but Mr. Morton is the principal, and it's unclear why Mr. Morton is calling her the wrong name. Is he trying to make her upset? Is he just saying her name as if she's irrelevant, or does he flat out just not know what her name is? It's noticed that he doesn't even bother to ask or correct himself. So that's another interesting thing that I felt that I should have on this presentation. Another quote that I found was, "You are the spawn of a devil." This is what Carrie's mom said to her. She said, "You were the spawn of the devil. Why was I so cursed?" That's on page 56 in Carrie. And this quote would be seen out of a archetypal lens because Carrie's mother is very religious because, well, obviously, she believes in God. A lot of families do that. They're religious. They want their children to stay pure until marriage. So she's religious, and when Carrie had her period, her mother found out that she had sex, which pushed her mom to put Carrie in a closet and pray. And there was a Bible in there. She told Carrie to pray, and basically she locked her in there until she felt like Carrie should be able to come out. So that's an interesting thing about describing and finding the meaning from evidence. So now I'm gonna determine themes and central ideas in this story. So Carrie White, here's like a little a summary of the book. Carrie White's basically a girl who's bullied and abused almost every day by nearly everyone in the school. Like I said, the only thing that saves her from things getting extremely out of hand is her telekinesis. Telekinesis, if you don't know what that is, you can basically move things with your mind. If you guys ever watch Matilda, she was able to write on the wall with a a chalkboard marker, or whatever you call those things. But yeah, she has telekinesis. She can use her mind to move objects and do all this stuff, and that's basically saving her from even being maybe even killed. I don't know, but people bully her every day, and she's disrespected. And toward the end of the story, Carrie becomes fed up with everyone and uses her telekinesis to harm and kill people. So that's interesting. Also in this story, Carrie isn't popular, obviously. She's a girl that is bullied. Carrie had a boyfriend that asked her to the ball. It wasn't her boyfriend. It was this girl that bullied her boyfriend, asked her to the ball, and it put the reader in Carrie's point of view, what would find that there's something in blah, blah, blah. Hold on, I'm going to just take this off. There's two themes and central ideas that I also found. Basically, I'm going to determine the themes and central ideas, and I'm gonna give you a little summary of what this story is really about. So Carrie White is a girl who's bullied and abused almost every day and by nearly everyone in the school. The only thing that saves her from this is her telekinesis. And telekinesis is something that basically it's her mind. She can move objects with her mind. If you ever watch Matilda, I know that's an old movie, but telekinesis, she uses things to move objects with her mind. She can do anything, like move anything with her mind. That's what telekinesis is. And that's basically keeping her safe from like any kind of harm or anything that's, that kind of it could get extreme, but she has her telekinesis, which could stop it if it was to happen. But yeah, toward the end of the story, Carrie becomes fed up with everyone and uses her telekinesis to harm or even kill people. So that's kind of scary. Two themes and central ideas. Here's like quotes that I found. If you don't have a date to the ball, would you want to go with me? That's on page 85 in Carrie. In this story, Carrie isn't really popular, as you can tell. She's the girl that's bullied. The girl that bullied her boyfriend asked her if she would like to go to the ball with him if she doesn't have a date. So if you put the reader in Carrie's eyes, like if you were to be Carrie, that would make you feel like, okay, something's up because her boyfriend just asked me and I'm bullied by her nearly every day. She's one of the popular girls and one of the popular boys just asked me to the ball. So you would think something's up, right? That's kind of something interesting. Another quote that I found, mom said, "You were the spawn of the devil." Imagine being told that by your mom. That's on page 56 in Carrie. As a son or daughter, no one should really have to be told this by their parents under any circumstances, especially because he or she had sex. A parent should understand that like as a teenager you try new things, you're trying to get knowledge in certain areas in your life just to try it or just see what it's like so it could help you in the long run. That's also another quote that I found. Another quote that I found. Mama hissed like a burned cat. "Sin," she cried. "Oh, sin." She began to beat Carrie's back, her neck, her head. Carrie was driven, reeling into the closed blue glare of the closet. "You fuck," Carrie screamed. That's on page 57. In some families, sex can blow up. They can blow things way out of proportion due to like religious beliefs. Mama was mad because Carrie knew that she wasn't supposed to have sexual intercourse until marriage, which sparked a verbal fuse of dynamite. And, between the two, it was only a matter of time before it just all exploded, and that's kind of what Carrie did. She yelled at her mom. She was sick of what her mom had to say, So that kind of was interesting that I found. But the next topic that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk about developing and relating elements of a text. So a few quotes that I found more quotes. What you girls did to Carrie White was so far unacceptable. Morton implied, "With that being said, you have to serve a detention with Miss White. I know prom is coming up, so I'll let you attend that, but you will serve the detention." Now, in Carrie's school, bullying happens very often. Bullying happens very often, and it's often enough that when Carrie's bullied, it's not taken serious as it should be because it's kind of the norm. People are bullied in their school. It's like, okay, you're just another kid getting bullied. And this takes place in 1966 at her school. So that's kind of what the setting is. But she's treated bad and no one really cares because she's just another kid in the school getting treated bad. But yeah, that's kind of that's another thing that was interesting to me that I found in there. Another another quote is that I found. Her mom said, "Pray, woman," on page 23. Mama, I'm gonna tell you like about these characters now. Mama, she's mean about like the smallest things. She's really ignorant. She's religious, and she's just mentally unstable. Like she doesn't really like. I don't really know how to explain it. She's just mentally unstable. Tommy Ross, he's another interesting character. He's the boy that asked Carrie to prom, or the ball, you can call it whatever. But he asked her to the ball, and Tommy Ross, he's a bully, but he's charming. He's a class clown. He's sneaky. He gets away with everything because he's kind of one of the cool kids. So I don't know. That's Tommy Ross. A quote that he said is, "If you don't have a date to the ball, would you want to go with me?" That was on page 85 in Carrie. Another one, Miss Desjardins. She's the gym teacher. Very kind. She's helpful. She's one of the teachers that like Carrie. Like she wants Carrie to be successful. She doesn't want these kids bullying her. She kind of protects Carrie. Like she's like another mom to Carrie. That's who Miss Desjardins is. She's an interesting character. She's an important character in this story, if you ask me. But she's very kind, helpful. She knows how to handle tough situations. A quote that she said was, "What are you waiting for, Carrie? Doom? Bell in 5 minutes." Like she wants Carrie, hurry up and get to class, or you'll miss it. So she keeps Carrie safe from all these bullies. She got all of these bullies that bullied her. She had her period. Carrie had her period in the shower, and the girls laughed at her. Miss Desjardins came, told them to back off, all this, and she sent them all to the principal's office. And, they got detentions. Like, that's when Mr. Morton is the principal, so gave them a detention. So that's interesting about, the setting, explaining who the characters are, but I'm going to go on to the next topic. A small section that I want to go through is determining the meaning of words or phrases, like basically words that I found in the book that I didn't understand. Now I understand them because I looked them up. But incredulity. It's a state of being unwilling or unable to believe something, like incredible. That's basically, I didn't think about that before, but yeah, that's it. Carrie is, a girl. I basically defined Carrie because I was thinking about Lord of the Flies, and I was like, yeah, I'll explain what Carrie means. I know Lord of the Flies is more of like something has a meaning to it, but Carrie is just the story about a girl who's bullied and turns into a killer, basically. Unusual or distinctive word choice, presumably it's used to convey what is asserted, is very likely, though not unknown for certain. So that's an interesting word and definition that I figured out. There's identifying and explaining the impact of one significant use of figurative language device. I chose a metaphor, and my metaphor is the locker room was filled with shouts, echoes, and subterranean noise or sound of the shower splashing on the tile. There weren't really the locker room wasn't really filled with echoes and sound and shouts and stuff. So that's kind of why I found it as a metaphor, and that metaphor gives the reader imagery so that they can paint a picture in their mind of the setting and what's going on. So that's an interesting topic. My favorite line in this story, Carrie said that Tommy's dead full price and paid full price for bringing plague into the place of light. That's what Carrie said on page 185. This was personally my favorite part because it was the part when Carrie is finally pushed to the maximum limit. She's fed up with everything everyone's doing. She's just fed up with it. And the quote showed a strong evil tone. In my mind, like there was some type of like demon possessing her mind or something like that. It was kind of like, I don't really want to show it, but that's kind of what I found that was interesting. I was going to show you, but I don't think I should. But yes, that was an interesting line that I found in this video. And I will go on to the next one So I'm going to analyze text structure. This is like analyzing text structure. So there's two parts of this story. It's not really chapters. It's just part 1 and part 2. In part 1, Carrie's treated bad by everyone, causing her to be upset, which is actually emotion. She talks to the gym teacher who has empathy for her, which is empathy, obviously. She wasn't sure what to think she wasn't sure what to think when Tommy Ross asked her to the ball, and that kind of brought her to some confusion. And then part 2 of the story is kind of it makes everything more interesting. Like part 2 of this story will literally have you zoned in. But Carrie was named prom queen, and she was set up to stand in a certain spot on the stage, and they dumped pig blood on her, which set her off. It just set her off, and that's when the story just changes, and then it starts to get way more interesting. When everything simmered down at the end of the story, it was suspenseful, but there's still a mystery as to like why Carrie was treated so bad during this story, to be honest. The ending of this story was sad because Carrie killed people that were very important to her, and she died at the end of the movie, by the way. The story shouldn't have ended how it did. Carrie didn't. She did what she did because of what people did to her. Her mom wanted to kill her. Her friends, treated her like a test dummy, and her principal didn't really care for the issues she had. The reader is left feeling like Carrie shouldn't have died for the most part because the way she was treated sparked her reactions. So it's kind of their fault that she did all this instead of hers. So I feel like she shouldn't have died, but no, they shouldn't have treated her like that. Grasping point of view. So in Carrie's eyes, she doesn't know what to do or who to trust because everyone is against her from the beginning of the story all the way to the end. The difference about the beginning and the end is that the way she is treated gradually got worse throughout the story. If the point of view was in Carrie's eyes, the reader would know exactly what she's thinking and why she did the bad things she did, which it would make the story way more interesting if it was in Carrie's eyes rather than the narrator's. The narrator's reliable in the story, but like the story would be better in the main character's point of view. A quote that I found is, "And of course, Chris hit her in the right place. He had hit her where she was vulnerable." That's on page 76. When the narrator says "of course," like that kind of seems like more sarcastic, so I kind of found that in my mind that was sarcastic to me. So the narrator's being sarcastic, and I figure the characters in the story have a lot of sarcasm because they're teenagers, and the narrator seems like he picked it, or he or she, picked it up as the story progressed. So like the narrator's a little more like the teens or something like that, There's multiple versions of like the same story, I guess. The story tells almost the same story as the movie, except in the book, Carrie she has a stronger mind and her mother's crazier than the movie. There aren't many big differences in the book, but big things are, things are way bigger than, it's more exaggerated in the book. making the book way more interesting than the movie, if you ask me. I mean, that's just my point of view, but I would think the reader would feel the same way. Um, how multiple texts address similar topics or themes. I found a few quotes here. I am the son of some wealthy people in the Middle West, all dead now. What part of the Middle West? I inquired casually. From San Francisco, I see. This is from Great Gatsby, and I'm comparing this to a quote that I found in Carrie. Morton gave the girl a yellow slip. You can go now, Cassie, he said magnanimously. These are so the quote before in Gatsby. Gatsby's a liar, and his whole life is a mystery to the reader. Like, you don't know he's been lying. Said he's from the Middle West, San Francisco or whatever. Everyone he knows is dead, basically what he's saying. And Morton, he calls her Cassie, and the principal's careless to call her by her real name, and it's a bit of a mystery as to whether he is just saying her name wrong by accident, or does he really even care what her name is. Both of these characters think they are above everyone, and it kind of like makes me mad because they should just, as a teacher and as a wealthy person, you kind of should be more generous in what you're saying or what you're doing. So but anyway, that's kind of, I'm wrapping it up here. Carrie's an interesting book, and I really feel like you should watch this movie or read the book. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. That's my presentation. Thank you for listening, and Tariq's out.